Imagine spending $100,000 with the same hesitation most people have when buying a cup of coffee. Imagine your biggest financial decision isn't whether you can cover next month's rent, but whether to invest in a startup, buy a vacation home in Italy, or donate millions to a cause you care about. For most people, that sounds impossible, but the reality is that everyone is playing the money game. The difference is that we're all playing at very different levels. Today, we're walking through the 7 stages of wealth, from simply surviving to achieving true financial abundance, and more importantly, what it takes to climb from one stage to the next. Because once you understand where you are and what lies ahead, you'll never think about money or your future the same way again. Stage 1 is survival. This is rock bottom. Money isn't a resource here, it's oxygen. Every dollar exists for one purpose, making it through another day. Retirement accounts, investing, building wealth, those ideas feel completely out of reach. The only question that matters is, can I make it until tomorrow? Miss a day of work and paying for groceries becomes uncertain. Get sick, and instead of going to urgent care, you hope resting at home will be enough because the medical bill simply isn't an option. Long-term planning barely exists because every decision revolves around solving today's emergency. According to the World Bank, anyone living on less than about $3 a day falls into extreme poverty. Even today, hundreds of millions of people around the world live under those conditions. It's like starting a video game on the hardest difficulty with no equipment, no instructions, and no chance to hit pause. Things many people never think twice about. Clean drinking water, prescription medicine, shoes that actually fit become luxuries instead of necessities. The hardest part isn't just the lack of money, it's that your mind becomes trapped in the present. When every ounce of mental energy goes toward surviving today, it's almost impossible to build tomorrow. And yet, stories like Ronald Reed remind us that even the lowest starting point doesn't have to define the ending. Reed worked as a janitor and gas station attendant in Vermont. He lived modestly, invested consistently in dividend-paying stocks for decades, and when he passed away, he left behind a fortune worth more than $8 million. He accumulated more wealth than many executives who earned far larger paychecks. His story isn't typical. It wasn't quick, and it certainly wasn't easy, but it proves something important. Even from the lowest stage, wealth can be built through discipline, patience, avoiding lifestyle inflation, and starting with whatever you have. Stage 2 is struggle. You've escaped the worst, but life still feels unstable. You have a job, maybe even 2. The rent gets paid, there's food in the refrigerator. But one unexpected expense can throw everything off balance. A flat tire, an emergency room bill, a broken appliance. Suddenly, the entire budget starts falling apart. You're no longer living in poverty, but your finances are incredibly fragile. Maybe you're like Jasmine, a 27-year-old receptionist who manages to cover rent and groceries, but keeps wearing cracked glasses because replacing them has to wait another month. Credit card balances keep growing. Maybe you've relied on payday loans or borrowed money just to stay afloat. You create a budget every month, but instead of making progress, it feels like you're constantly plugging leaks in a sinking boat. According to a 2024 study, about 60% of American adults live paycheck to paycheck, including many households earning 6-figure incomes. Why? Because making more money doesn't automatically create wealth if your spending grows just as quickly. At this stage, success isn't about getting ahead, it's simply about avoiding another setback. But this is also where things can begin to change. The turning point comes when you stop tracking only your bank balance and start paying attention to your financial habits. Your first major victory probably isn't earning 6 figures. It's building your first $500 emergency fund. It's canceling subscriptions you forgot you were paying for. It's freelancing on weekends, driving for extra income, or selling things you no longer need on Facebook Marketplace. Those may seem like small steps, but small financial wins build momentum. And momentum, combined with compound growth, is one of the biggest reasons wealth grows over time. Stage 3 is stability. This is where life finally starts to feel manageable. You're not wealthy, but you're no longer constantly worried about sinking. For the first time in years, you can actually breathe. Your bills get paid on time. The refrigerator stays full. You can afford a weekend trip now and then, keep your gym membership, or repair your car before it completely breaks down. Maybe you're a teacher, a registered nurse, or an HVAC technician. Your job provides steady income. You have health insurance. You've started putting money aside. The savings account isn't huge, but for the first time, building wealth feels realistic. You open a Roth IRA. You start learning about low-cost index funds. You read books like The Millionaire Next Door and begin thinking, maybe retiring before 70 isn't impossible, but stability isn't the same as security. If you lose your job, your emergency fund might carry you for 3 to 6 months. A serious medical emergency or another major financial shock could wipe out those savings much faster than you expected. You're still only one major setback away from slipping back into struggle. Psychologically, this stage can be frustrating. You know you're doing better than many people around you, yet you still feel far from genuine financial freedom. This stage teaches an important lesson. Comfort isn't the destination, it's the bridge. Your goal here is to eliminate high-interest debt, automate your savings and investments, and protect the financial progress you've worked so hard to build. Stage 4 is security. This is the point where your finances finally have real protection around them. Stage 4 is security. At this point, you're no longer living paycheck to paycheck or worrying only about getting through the month. You've built a financial cushion one step at a time. Maybe you have 6 to 12 months of living expenses saved. You're consistently maxing out retirement accounts when you can. You understand the difference between investing for the long term and simply chasing risky bets. A surprise expense no longer throws your life into chaos. If your car needs new tires, you replace them without panic. If layoffs happen at work, you know you have time to figure out your next move because you've prepared for that possibility. Whether you own a home or rent comfortably, your finances feel stable. Your credit score works for you instead of against you, opening opportunities rather than closing doors. For the first time, you're the one steering your financial future instead of constantly reacting to it. This is the version of financial stability that many Americans spend decades trying to reach. Life becomes manageable, predictable, even, but this stage comes with its own danger: lifestyle inflation. As income grows, spending quietly follows. A nicer car, a bigger house, more expensive vacations, better restaurants, premium everything. Before long, your paycheck has doubled, but somehow your financial stress hasn't disappeared. Security isn't measured by how much you earn. It's measured by how much flexibility your money gives you. Real wealth comes from keeping more of what you make and using it to create options, and options create confidence. So, the question becomes, are you accumulating more possessions or are you buying back more of your time? Stage 5 is independence. This is where the game changes completely. Your paycheck is no longer the engine that keeps your life running. Your investments do that. Income flows from rental properties, dividend-paying stocks, businesses, royalties, or other assets that continue producing cash whether you're working or not. This is what many people know as financial independence, or FIRE. Financial independence, retire early. If you decided not to work tomorrow, your bills would still get paid. Your lifestyle wouldn't suddenly collapse. The only thing that changes is how you choose to spend your time. Many people at this stage continue working, but for an entirely different reason. They're no longer motivated by survival. They're motivated by purpose. Maybe they write books, mentor entrepreneurs, volunteer, or build organizations that solve meaningful problems. They've stopped trading hours for dollars. Instead, they focus on creating value that can grow far beyond their personal effort. Surveys consistently show that many Americans believe they need somewhere between $2 million and $5 million to feel financially independent. But the truth is, independence isn't determined by a magic number. It depends on how much you spend, how efficiently your assets produce income, and the lifestyle you want to maintain. The questions also begin to change. Instead of asking, how can I make more money? You start asking, how do I protect what I've built? How do I invest more wisely? How do I minimize taxes? How do I pass this wealth to the next generation? Eventually, you realize something that money alone can never teach. Time is your most valuable asset, and you finally earned the freedom to spend it however you choose. You're no longer just building wealth for yourself. You're building something that can outlive you. Stage 6 is freedom. This isn't just financial independence. It's complete ownership over your life. You don't look at price tags before making every decision. Instead, you ask a different question. Does this fit the life I actually want? You travel because you want to. You live where you choose. You work when it feels meaningful, and you step away when it doesn't. Your calendar reflects your priorities instead of someone else's expectations. Maybe you fund scholarships, support charitable causes, start a foundation, or finally build the project you've dreamed about for years. You're no longer adapting to the world around you. You're intentionally designing your own life. Time becomes your greatest luxury. You wake up without an alarm if you want. You accept projects because they excite you, not because you need another paycheck. Ironically, many people at this stage become less interested in showing off their wealth. Status matters less. Purpose matters more. Quiet confidence replaces the need for constant validation. Because real freedom isn't being able to buy everything. It's being able to say no. No to bad business deals. No to difficult clients. No to toxic relationships. No to anything that takes away your peace of mind. And that's something money alone can never fully measure. Stage 7 is abundance. This is the highest stage. You don't simply enjoy wealth. You use it to shape the future. You own businesses that employ thousands of people. You influence industries. You invest in breakthroughs in technology, education, healthcare, and scientific research. Instead of following trends, you help create them. You may belong to the top fraction of 1%, where wealth brings enormous influence and equally enormous responsibility. You have professionals managing investments, businesses, philanthropy, and long-term planning. But abundance isn't really about having more money. It's about asking better questions. How do I raise children who appreciate hard work despite growing up with extraordinary privilege? How do I create lasting value instead of simply accumulating more assets? How do I stay grounded when success surrounds me every day? At this level, influence becomes your greatest resource, but purpose becomes your greatest responsibility. Because the biggest danger is no longer running out of money. It's losing sight of who you are. When everyone around you agrees with every decision you make, maintaining humility becomes one of the hardest challenges you'll ever face. That's often what separates people who simply build fortunes from those who leave lasting legacies. At this stage, money is no longer the destination. Legacy is. The truth is that wealth isn't just a number on a balance sheet. It's a progression in the way you think, from fear to confidence. From surviving to creating, from constantly trading time for money to designing a life on your own terms. Most people will never reach stage 7, and that's perfectly okay. Moving from survival to stability can completely transform a person's life. Moving from security to independence creates a level of peace that many people never experience. No matter where you are today, there's always another step forward, one better habit, one smarter decision, 1 month of consistent progress. Because real wealth isn't about becoming the richest person in the room. It's about gaining control over your time, creating peace of mind, and building a life that reflects what truly matters to you. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and let me know in the comments, which stage are you in today? And if you want more videos that make personal finance simple and practical, subscribe and join us for the next one. This is Finance Haven, where better financial decisions create a better future.